Welcome back to Willie B TV. Today, it's not Willie B, it's not OG Will, it's not any of that. It's your boy Wilbert. Yes, sir. I'm bringing the first name out. I'm trying to get on a first name basis with y'all because I'm just trying to keep it as real as I can make it. Just this is probably not even probably this is the realest video I've ever recorded, and I want to do it right. No personas, no nicknames or anything like that. It's really me and you, whoever may be watching whenever you're watching. Right now it's me and me, which is kind of what I've needed for a little bit. So there's no scripts, no I mean, I got a little outline right here, but I'm pretty much going off the dome, just speaking from the heart to the mouth to you guys. So it's going to be a lot about the content that was in the first song that I released, March On. So if you haven't listened to that, first of all, you're missing out. Second, I would recommend to watch it anyway, just so you know kind of the content that you're going to be getting into besides, reading the title, because yeah, I've been 2020 has not been the year, despite the wishes, despite the plans we may have had at the beginning of the year. We started off strong, not gonna lie, but life finds a way to throw curveball after curveball, and we sometimes we end up in places we didn't want to be. This, however, is my 2020 story. Like, I've had issues for a number of years, and I could go on for hours about what caused what, how I ended up in the position I'm in now. But I feel like 2020 is a good place to start because, it's where a lot of it happened. It's where the highest highs and the lowest lows that I've been at have been met. So if anything, I wanted to do this to let y'all know what I was going through, let y'all know what's been going on with me and the channel throughout 2020, but really also for me, kind of to just get this out, to really solidify what I've been going through, what I plan to go through in the future. And hopefully y'all will be there to witness all that. But what am I talking about? Why is this video titled Depression, Dependency, and the Cycle of Poverty? Well, you might have guessed it, but I've been dealing with all three of those for a number of years, specifically in 2020. I want to say it began in the summer, not right at the beginning of this whole COVID situation. There was, a little grace period where I really felt like I was really able to take over, like I was gonna be on my shit like that. For people that know me or have been watching either this or the OG Virgins, if you don't know, look it up. You would know that I'm a very outgoing person. I've always been described as an extrovert. Always have dozens of dozens upon dozens of friends. Social groups I hang out with. I couldn't even high school. I couldn't even sit at a table at lunch without every 20 minutes gotta go talk to these other people, gotta check what my other friends are doing. I might go and play basketball for a couple minutes, go inside, talk to the gamers, hear some drama. And while it's easy for me to say that I had a lot of friends, I have a lot of social groups. It's really hard when you're moving like that, when your time is so limitedly spread around all these people, to really solidify those relationships and really just, you know, deepen those friendships, those bonds that could really end up relying on people just coming and talking like truthfully. We have conversations with each other, but how often do we actually just tell each other what's on our minds and just really deep dive into psychologically what we're going through, and letting each other know that we're there for each other. I've definitely have people that I can say I have that kind of relationship with, and in real life, and in this social media world, I've got amazing friends that I've made over the years, from Geisha TV, GHG Franco, Nat, be for real. You know, I'm not gonna I'm not even gonna attempt to name them all because I don't want to do anybody the disservice of forgetting them. You know, just because there's so many of them, so many that I've formed these connections with. But the thing about depression is, or at least in my opinion, it affects everybody differently, and it, you know, we've all taken those classes, we've all like heard those surveys and stuff. They're like, oh, is your friend acting differently? Is he not around as much? You know, not as much energy. You know, we all hear it. We know we all have an idea of what it might look like, but I guess 2020 has taught me that it's it's a lot more invisible than you might seem. And part of the reason of that is it makes you kind of invisible. You know, it takes away the one thing that prevents you from at least being alone, is that desire to go out and talk, desire to go out and make those connections, because just how you're feeling. I know me personally, whenever I get in a negative mood or some depressed like state, the main thing for me is just isolation. You know, I cut off, I stop responding, I just get in my own zone. You know, I'm either trying to figure out how to get out of the situation I'm in, or just trying to do something, try and forget it. So half the time it ends up digging me deeper in that hole because there's nobody around to talk to really just tell these issues about. Which is another reason why I wanted to make this video, to try and, you know, form that kind of relationship with you guys. You know, I want this to be a community. You know, we need some type of connection to really start growing off of each other and just build. You know, that's the main goal, right? That's why we're all here, to build. Whether it's to build yourself up, to build your business, to build your family around you, we're all building. So that's what I want for Willie B TV, at least for you guys to join me in this ride. You know, let me know if you guys have felt these kind of things before, if you've been in these kind of situations. As for what caused, you know, this depression, this desire for isolation, I'd say a majority of it was, you know, financial things, you know, just running into just setback after pitfall, after bad decision. You know, it all adds up eventually, you know. You'll feel like you're doing the right thing, and all of a sudden just bam, life hits you with a Jake Paul haymaker, and you start falling like Nate Robinson. I'm too soon, I'm sorry. Early, I'd say the summer of 2020, like I said, you know, I was doing all right. I have an apartment over by my college, so we pay rent monthly, at least try to, as we all do. And I was doing all right. I had my own car, my own job, paying decently, very decently. Looking forward to going to work just to make that money, you know, despite the grueling back pain and ungodly hours. You know, it was worth it to see that check at the end of the week, weekly. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't stay around for long. I ended up running into major car issues. Ended up getting in a car accident early on in the year, and at the time, it didn't really show too much damage. At the time, at least, it didn't seem like it was too big of a deal. You know, my car was a 1993 Jeep Cherokee, so that's a hard body, solid metal. Like it's gonna take a tank to have to actually put a dent into it. You know, so I wasn't worried about it. I was rolling around for another month or so, just chilling. I got repairs done on it, but it was surface damage, things that I could see were wrong. It was also my first car, so I'll blame a little bit on just being not as car knowledgeable as I should have been. not really seeing the signs that as they were coming, but eventually little issues became bigger issues, became cars not working anymore. So that was a setback. Luckily, I was blessed. My family had another car at the time that nobody was using. It needed some fluids changed. It needed a tune up. So I was like, all right, I'm making a little money right now. I can use this car, fix it up, fix what needs to be fixed up, so I can make money and get the rest fixed. Well, 2 days after getting that car, it ended up getting towed out of my apartment complex. So that was definitely an experience, first for me. I never haven't had a car for too long, so I didn't even get the chance for it to get towed like legitimately. But apartment complex, they got rules. Apparently, I didn't follow them, so ended up getting towed. The cost to get that out, it took about a week to collect it all, and ended up being about a month's worth of rent and then some. So it was a setback. It was a setback to say the least. But at that time, I'm still, I got it back, um, got my job, so I'm not too worried about it. I can figure out a way. I can make things work. Even without my job, I work for Favor. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's like the discount Uber Eats. But it's cool. It pays well. It pays immediately. So every now and then, I'd hop in. Go downtown, go to some of the more generous neighborhoods, and try to get some extra money on the side. In hindsight, that's probably a major factor into what caused the downfall of these other cars, of my two cars. Because I say the two cars because that second car ended up breaking down as well. Kind of in a more serious state of the first one, and it was mainly due to strenuous work. I was working that car because I was trying to work. I was trying to make money, but I was working it and not maintaining it properly. Those issues that I didn't get fixed immediately, they came back to bite me. So on my way to work, I think 2 months later, I'm dropping off my rent for the month. It's a couple days late, but I got it. So I'm dropping it off, hopping in the car to go to work, and car number two dies on me. Just heartbroken. I'm 30 minutes from being late. I'm working the type of job where if you're late, they send you home. It's first come, first serve, and usually they're begging to send people home anyway. You give them a reason, they're gonna take that, and you're gonna waste a 30-minute drive up to this middle of nowhere factory, and then they're gonna tell you to turn around, go home. It happens. So that day, I end up trying to get it checked out. They're telling me could be the engine, could need a whole new engine in now. I don't got money for a tune-up. How am I getting an engine? So immediately gotta deal with that. We gotta find a way. Of course, the many years of not having my own transportation, it definitely taught me the importance and the ways to get around, and that ended up being what I had to do to at least try to continue working at my place. I ended up a lot of the time having to dig into my savings, the limited savings I had at this point, because this is two cars down, getting towed, multiple bills, and just things, life that I got to pay for. That's life is expensive. So I end up having to start digging in my savings, trying to get rides to work every day, rides there and rides back. Those end up costing, especially when it's a 30-minute drive. People out chilling at home, and I'm out here texting them, "Hey, you mind? I know you're home, all comfortable, chilling, doing your own thing, but you mind just going 30 minutes out of the way to this factory, middle of nowhere, dropping me off, and then driving 30 minutes back, just for fun, just because. Luckily, I've got friends. I got people that I can rely on, and when in a time of need, people came through, and I'm extremely thankful for all of those people, whether you were able to or not. The fact that you answered is more than enough for my gratitude and appreciation. But that can only last for so long. My initial thinking was, I'll Uber, get rides and stuff back and forth for a good 2 weeks or so, get enough money, get paid, get one of these cars fixed. Guess I didn't really realize how the inconsistency, along with just the actual cost of that, that's roughly 20 to 30 a day, just getting to and from work. So it's gonna be a chunk by the end of the day. Ended up draining me pretty much. This is on top of, and before I even get into this, I will completely 100% never tell you guys to get a cash loan or payday loans, specifically from Speedy Cash. Like, there's better options if you desperately need a loan, you need some money today, but just never do Speedy Cash. I get $25 if I refer somebody there, and I would never refer somebody there. That money is blood money, 100%. Like, it's not worth it. I probably got a Speedy Cash loan when the first car broke. So I'd say that's probably July. That's August. September is when August is when I got the loan, and it is currently December 9th, and I'm still paying it off today. And if you don't pay more than what you owe every 2 weeks, it gets more. So my parents came through, ended up throwing $400 at it. And because rent, along with, things I will get in later on in the video, 400 on a $600 loan, that brings it down to 200, right? Well, a couple weeks later, is back up to 450. So as just an example, never use Speedy Cash. I've been going on far longer than I intended, but as I said, unscripted. So I don't even know how long this video is going to end up being. Another factor that played into the depression, I'll call it the depression, like a 1930s America. It last year, end of last year at least, ended up getting out of a moderately long-term relationship, depending. It's all relative, but it was, we were not the best for each other at that time. I feel like there was definitely positives in our relationship, like 100%. There were things that would make us be like, all right, this could work. But just in my opinion, the negatives were outweighing the positives at a certain point, and a decision had to be made. And regardless of whether you are the receiver or the instigator of a breakup, it's gonna affect you. And I guess I didn't really want to let it affect me at the time. I kind of just tried to focus on me, focus on what I needed to do to elevate myself, when ultimately I probably did need to address it a little sooner. Try to, you don't want to leave just open wounds like that. You got to get the Band-Aids, you got to get the disinfectant, the antiseptic. It's going to hurt in the moment, but it's what you need ultimately to heal. So me not me leaving that open wound like that, just not reaching out and trying to get some closure to that type of situation, it definitely added to the mental stress that 2020 was leaving on me. I was a lot earlier than this whole COVID situation, so I probably just compounded all of it, but that definitely didn't help. Ultimately, though, I think one of the biggest factors to the deterioration of my mental state throughout this year was uh, the developing of a dependency of mine. I like to think of myself as a pretty strong-willed individual. I've got a good moral compass. I'm usually able to make the right decisions. Although, one vice of mine that I has taken me years to even acknowledge, let alone try to begin overcoming, has been marijuana, aka ganja, aka reefer, aka weed. Weed. I'll give you my stance on it first. Of course, I am all for it. I'm a dedicated stoner, have been for, I'd say 6, 7 years or so. Relatively, it's been so long, I really don't want to keep count of it, but I've definitely, at this point, it's almost became part of my life, really. Especially getting into college. So, I mean, this is the dependency section of the video if you didn't catch that. So, I'm going to tell y'all just a little how my well, maybe that's a story for another time. Maybe the introduction of weed is definitely a story for another time, but maybe the gradual increase, because just immediately getting into my college, getting that expansive freedom, just so much time. Just I felt like, why not? Everyone around me is out here smoking. I was a social smoker back in the day. Like I'd get together with my friends, probably after school, hanging out, whatever, just smoke whenever we're all together, have a great time. But getting older and getting into that state where it's just always there when I need it, whether I'm at home, at a party, it's gonna be there. So I just started adopting it more into my life. I'd smoke before classes, before hanging out with people, before going on dates, just it kind of became a part of who I am in a way. And I would never say I was addicted. Like, it's not like a kind of addiction where it's like I can't go days without smoking, or I'm just gonna have to start having withdrawals, to start shaking, convulsing on the ground and stuff. Like, it's nothing like that, at least for me. Uh, but it was a dependency in that I felt like I operated better while I was doing it. I felt like I didn't feel like I physically needed it, but I feel like I mentally needed it in order to deal with certain things. You know, these financial issues I'm talking about, these 2020 issues, there's always been things like that. My, I don't want to sidetrack too much away from 2020, but my first year of college, I started homeless. It's Hurricane Harvey was hitting, and I couldn't afford to book one of the housings, ahead of time. I'm out here trying to scrape together scholarships and different applications to try and even get into the school. So the housing situation kind of took a back seat. Ended up spending the first couple weeks sleeping on great friend of mine's couch. I'm still friends with today. Great times. Looking back on it, it wasn't bad. But it wasn't my own place, and it was thankfully to the connections I was able to make, specifically the band people in my life. Shout out Dr. Zachary. He hooked me up, ended up getting me housing. But that's housing, but I got to pay for that. It's coming out of my student account. I need to put something into the student account to deal with that. So that's dealing with that. At least it's weed definitely helps in that and helps you deal with your problems. Although you're not really dealing with them, you're really just forgetting about them in the moment. And that's why I kind of feel like it gets so much praise. It although at the end of the day, it really depends how you use it. It's just some people are able to smoke and become more productive because of it. Some use it to not be productive, to forget about all the productivity that they need to be doing, and just enjoy the moment. Because regardless of how you live in your life, that's an important thing. That's a very important thing, to enjoy the moment. You don't want to just be constantly working, constantly grinding. Is good. It's gonna help your wallet. It's gonna help your whatever career you might be aiming for, but ultimately, like, doing that is almost as bad as smoking to forget. You're tearing down your soul, your mind, doing just repetitive menial labor, and you got to take a break. Weed might not be the break that you need, but you need breaks in the work. Otherwise, you're gonna go crazy. So I didn't really have a strong balance of that at the time. It was a lot more weed and play and a lot less work. And my grades reflected that, especially 2020. Well, 2020 was the finances on top of the dependency, because as previous years, previous past mistakes put me in a situation where 2020 was really a make or break year for me. I really had to overcome this pandemic in order to see some success. And unfortunately, I didn't make that in time. I actually ended up having to, for those of you that don't know, there's actually a deadline for every semester where, you get your college dues, and there's a deadline where you have to have a certain amount of those dues paid in order to stay in the school. So, as a financially struggling student as myself, not to mention the heavy, disgusting strain that weed has on your wallet, that is a huge part of what really got me, snapped me out of it. Just looking at my bank account, I'm constantly going in the negative, coming back out, going back under. Just so unpredictable, so unsteady, so inconsistent. And I look through my what are they called, the bank statements. I look through the bank statements, and month after month I see, food here, taking chunks out here, bills being paid, but a majority of it I felt like was just going towards weed. I'll look and see 10, 15, 20, whatever, just draining away, just that those red letters, just like blood, just bleeding my account over and over again. I'll check on my just bleeding my account over and over again. I'll check on my Snapchat, check my favorite providers of herbs and supplements, and I'd click on their account just to, if you don't know, you could see the total like distribution of wealth between whatever you're doing. And I was honestly disgusted. I'm out here struggling, just not having money to pay rent or get my car fixed. Yet I'm seeing these triple digits going to plugs for weed. And I'm just like, how did I not see this? How did I let it get to this level? And which is why ultimately, you know, the entire this situation that I find myself in is ultimately accumulation of my bad decisions. From failing to care about the classes I'm taking, to not being motivated when I need to get to work or find a better job or any of that, to just letting chunks of my income burn away in a perfectly wrapped backwood or sweet Swisher Sweet or whatever. It's just seeing all that really put it into perspective for me, and just made me realize like I'm my biggest enemy at this point. I'm setting myself up for failure, and unless there's like an active change, unless I am actively looking at myself and saying, "Hey, this is I'm fucking up. This is wrong. I need to change this." Like, it's not going to change. And it took me way too long to realize that. But I'm thankful that at least I finally did before, things got worse. Another thing that, made me start thinking about it like this is I don't know how many of y'all watch the news, keep up with, the government and all that. But a couple days ago, actually, the House of Representatives, I believe, they actually passed a bill to start legalizing marijuana nationwide. You know, Immediately seeing that, the stoner in me just leaps in the sky for tears of joy streaming down my face. It is. This is very good news. A lot of people are wrongly put in prison for a plant that grows in the ground, and just for having it on your possession, people have been sent for, decades or more in prison. That's honestly ridiculous. These, either somebody with an ounce or less can go to jail longer than pedophiles or murderers. It's a broken law in a broken system, and it's one step in making a system better. And ultimately, I'm happy that they're doing it. It's about time. So, by all means, legalize it, decriminalize it, whatever you have to do. At the same time, I want people to understand that while it's not dangerous, while weed cannot kill you, it can't make you addicted chemically, at least, it can cause negative effects. So I don't want people just, oh, weed's decriminalized now. It's the perfect, because a lot of stoners are like, weed is the miracle drug. Like, it can do no wrong. It cures cancer, which it might. Who knows? It is just, there's negatives to anything. Of course, it's all, moderation is one of the most important things in life, and weed is completely no exception. So I just wanted to give like at least a little bit of my insight into how weed negatively impacted me, or at least how I allowed weed to negatively impact me. Because again, like, I wasn't always just smoke and chill. I was, and still, I think I still am. I haven't honestly smoked for a little minute now, but I can still be productive while high. It's nothing even about the high that makes you productive or unproductive. It's just your mindset while you're high. So maybe talking nonsense once again. But all this was happening, and it was just making me very introspective. I was really looking at myself and just realizing all these things about me, like, hey, this needs to change. I need to stop doing this. I need to just be working harder. And that kind of brings us into the third point of the video, the cycle of poverty, because I 100% I 100% believe that I'm not alone in, the things that I'm facing. I've seen firsthand just the routes that letting these vices go unchecked can take you. It's a dark world, and if you're not fully, focused on bettering yourself, if you're just letting these different struggles and different vices hold you down and set you back, consciously or subconsciously, it's gonna keep you where you're at. You're not gonna progress while doing the same thing over and over again. Like a big thing for me was I would get a gram, I'd get a gram, maybe two, and I'd be like, all right, this is it. This is my last weed, and I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna get on my shit. I'm gonna be grinding. I'm gonna be doing everything I need to be. And then I'll smoke it, either alone or with a friend. And I'll be in the mindset of, yeah, this is my last one. I'm done. Only to a day or two later, someone else comes up to me like, hey bro, I got a gram. You trying to smoke? You trying to do something? And that was another choice. That was an active decision where it will lead you to making worse decisions. Like obviously you don't make the best decisions inebriated, whether you're drunk and especially while you're high. So just putting myself in a situation where I could be more easily influenced and be in an area where the vice that I'm trying to get rid of is actively available, not even actively available. I'm partaking in it. Whether or not I spent money on it, it's still going to affect you. Or it's still going to affect me. It's still going to affect someone in this situation. So that was kind of it just kept me in a cycle, kept me in a phases of, oh, I'm going to quit. Oh, maybe I'll just smoke a little bit. Maybe I'll just do this. All right, I'll spend $5. All the way back to, yeah, I'm chilling. Got a little extra money. Let me buy a gram. Let me spoil myself. Only to be hit with more bills, more rent, more responsibilities. And I don't have that cushion, that little extra funds that I could have had I not spent money on other things I completely didn't need. Now, I can't blame it all on weed because I have always had a difficult relationship with money. My first job, I actually got it specifically to buy an Xbox One. Xbox Ones just came out. I'm probably dating myself. Xbox Ones just came out, and my parents didn't want to buy me it. Gaming is another addiction of mine that needs and has been put in check, at least I feel like. So I ended up going to work, grinding, making that $7.25, the absolute bare minimum wage, unless you're working at a restaurant or something, in which case, hey, they got extra laws. So ended up, after a couple weeks, making enough to buy that Xbox. And what I do after? Quit that hoe. Played that Xbox daily. Saved a couple checks the last couple weeks or so, getting the games I want, just chilling. Did that until I got my next couple games, or at least my next job or so, when I actually needed to buy more things. Just And I don't know, I never really got that full grind, that embedding that the money funds like that is something that you need to keep an eye on. The thing that gets me the most is small purchases, actually, because I can look at some $20, $25, be like, oh, I don't need that. But it's those small purchases, like, oh, I can get $2 here. I'm showing up. I can hit this vending machine, get like three different things. I got the money for it, only to look all these $2, $3 purchases. 3 days later, end up spending $40, $50 just on miscellaneous items. So it wasn't specifically just the weed. It's just the weed did not help the situation that I was in the way that I thought it was. You know, high thoughts, it's always a little more rosy, a little more hopeful than it may actually be. So that was just something that I had to get over, something I had to realize within myself and start growing past. I had to, and still am, growing past these different things, but trying to become a better person every day. Ultimately, I do think that the dependency and the depression together kind of forced me into uh, a, a stronger cycle of poverty, which is why I kind of, structured this kind of video essay kind of like this. It's just, it all ties into each other. And once you, once one sets in, it's becomes much easier for the others to follow. You get depressed, start, making bad decisions, wanting to forget about things, and a you know, getting a dependency or even addiction. It can happen. Depression can lead to addiction and dependency, which will in turn will keep you in a cycle of poverty if you're already in it, and if not, it could, cause you to enter one. So that's something I had to learn the hard way, something that I'm scraping out of at the moment. It is important to understand that you gotta, of course, actively want that change and actively do things to make that change happen. And that's what I'm doing today. Today, yesterday, tomorrow, these last few weeks or so have definitely been what I had hoped all of 2020 to be. But hey, better late than never. So here I am, not rock bottom, but, you know, close, close to there, working my way back up. I've always, growing up, kind of thought life was a little too boring, too interesting. I was a pretty straight A student until I started getting distracted by other things. And I just felt like, hey, sometimes I need a little excitement in my life, some shake things up, just shift the foundation of things. And that is a terrible idea. I completely revoke it. I want some stability, and that's what I'm working towards. 2020, December 2020, 2021. It's all towards stability, growth, and responsibility, if anything. A lot of the influences that I'm trying to build off of, and you probably see some more videos on these topics coming soon. But Twitter philanthropist and all around legend, Bill Pulte. I'm actually in a subscription with him, so he's constantly spitting knowledge, just financial advice to philosophical sources that just different books and stuff to just try to train your mind into being more conscious about what you're doing and more conscious about the goals that you set. And multiple goals are being made. I don't know if I'll get into it now. I'll probably make a video later down the line specifically talking about the goals I'm trying to reach. But one specific goal, and the number one reason I'm making this video is to get with you guys, to create this community. I've had an idea for Willie B TV for years, and as you can tell by my catalog of videos, it is horribly inconsistent. It varies from topic to topic, to month spans of silence, to five videos in 2 weeks. It's a revolution only to fall off once again. And I'm tired of that. I'm making an active change, and I figured what better way to ensure that I follow through with this change than to have hundreds or thousands of people holding me accountable. That's a community, right? It takes a village to raise a child. It takes an even bigger village to raise a man-child, so to speak. So this is what I'm planning on doing. I'm currently finally found another job, after months of unemployment and being denied unemployment and just setbacks, as I said. Currently looks like a positive future is on the horizon. I'm, of course, not counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm still grinding towards that goal. But in the meantime, I plan on making at least one video every day. So it could be a chill talking video like this, just talking one-on-one with you guys. Could be a reaction. I have a lot of those lined up that I've been meaning to get to and just haven't had the encouragement or the drive to get it done. Could be that, could be music, of course, March On, a fan favorite of mine. Vibes, shout out to my boy X Smiles once again, and shout out B Madlock, my boy B Weezy the Sauce King, of course. If you all sources to anybody, links to anybody I've been talking about in the video will be in the description below. But amazing up and coming EQ specialist. Anybody that needs mastering or mixing or instrumentals, even he's an all around, he's an all bass hitter right there. So check him out. But music will also be pretty constant coming out of Willie B TV. It's all to make a community, to make a better place, a place for growth, for encouragement, for just lives to be positively impacted. And I want y'all to make sure I'm doing it. So every day I'm gonna be putting something out, and if I miss a day, if y'all are sitting around at 9-10 o'clock at night and you haven't seen a new Willie B TV video go up yet, you better start spamming me. You better start getting in the comments, hitting me up on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I'm not really on those other two as often, but hit me on there. Let me know I'm messing up, and I'll get on it immediately, I promise. It took a little longer than I would have hoped, but 2020 ultimately did exactly what I needed it to do. It snapped me out of the cycle, the pitfall that I was in for so long without even realizing. And it took all these struggles, all these, stumbles in order to realize it, but I'm here. So y'all can be here too. As I said, content like you've never seen coming every single day. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stick around, and I hope you, speak up if any of what I've been talking about in this video resonated with you. If you feel like any of it, sounds familiar, start looking in the mirror. Maybe you're dealing with things you haven't even been realizing that are keeping you back. And if so, let me know. Let's create a dialogue. Let's, as I said, build each other up. You know, we're all a community. We're all, I'm so proud of this community, as Susan Wojcicki would say. So, just we're all here. We're all here. People will know exactly what you're going through. It's always a danger making a video like this, just being vulnerable, just being open about, mistakes or decisions you've made in life. There's always going to be a negative energy about it. People are going to hate regardless of what you do. But I'm not worried about that. I've had haters all my life. I can handle a few more. As long as those haters are living what they preach, by all means, they can speak away. But if you're dealing with something, come talk. There's no need to feel like you're alone, because you're not. Because we've all had struggles, trials, and tribulations. It's just what you do about it, how you come out of those trials, and if you either become stronger or you give in to the struggle, to the pain, and end up in a cycle. And this year has been hellish, to say the least. I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemies. So, we're here for you. Of course, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, I apologize if it was, stupid shaky. I'm holding my phone up the whole time trying to record this. So, it's, like I said from the beginning, I'm keeping it real. No shenanigans involved. But of course, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, see more in general, just see the future, then please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, it's your main man, Willie B, signing out. Peace.
I ain't worried about a thing, but I still stay ready for the action. Figure scared of sliding by, I'm cold as ice. I figure eight, I'm flipping out. Coming up, but I'm into now. But this time I took a different route. Now I think I got it figured out. So come on, everybody gather round. See the origin of Willie B. I would like for Artie to stand at attention as I begin to dominate the industry. Here for me, glad to see. So many dreams came true, thought I went back to sleep. Not counting sheep, but when I'm talking about your daughter, I'm a rammer. Calling me throw, how I put down the hammer. The dog in the park, long at the dark. Feeling like a mark with a target. Tatted on his heart like a fish when he's swimming with the sharks. They don't think I'm gonna get too far. Till I hold it down to the front like Rosa Parks. Good cushion spark. Oh, whip, but it's push and start. Chain on, yeah, I guess I gotta look the part. Too smart, textbooks get ripped apart. So I'm waiting till I hit the charts. And all I know is it's a matter.